You know, I hate being that guy that brings down the mood and says that there was an obvious death flag or many death flags in this episode, but this scene, when this happened, I had to talk about it first thing when I did this video. When we had the whole conversation about shooting stars and how they shine brightly, when you look at these shooting stars, you can make a wish or like hope, I'm like, yeah, also did you know that shooting stars shine brightly before they fade into the darkness? And so I'm thinking to myself, like, this is being made by Studio Trigger and being made by Studio A1, and they're working together on this as anime original, and any character could potentially get on the chopping block. And I definitely see a very important character death in the near future of Darling in the Franxx. And when I saw that scene at the end, and they were talking about shooting stars, I'm like, someone's gonna die. Someone is gonna die. Or hope is going to fade, and darkness is going to set in. One or the other is going to happen in the upcoming episodes for that scene to be done like it was. We have a beach episode. Now, I think everybody by now knows, if you've been with me for a while, you know how I feel about beach episodes, hot spring episodes, spa episodes. Most of you most likely know how I feel about this type of episode, and personally, I'm not a big fan of them. And the reason why is because I've seen them so often that they just become very repetitive, and they're just usually there just for fan service. That's usually all they are there for. That's the whole point of those episodes. Now, don't get me wrong, I like looking at fan service. I do. I'm one of those type of people. But when I'm trying to get into a show and I'm trying to watch it for the story, there's other things I can watch if I want to see fan service and stuff. When I'm trying to watch it, I don't always want to see fan service. So I typically don't like beach episodes and stuff like that. However, even though this was a beach episode for Darling in the Franxx, it actually fits with the series, and it didn't actually excessively have a lot of fan service that just destroyed the episode. And so I will let that aspect of the episode slide. It's like they used the template of beach spa episodes or whatever, and then they went with it and made its own plot, own story to it that actually was pretty enjoyable throughout the episode. I mean, not even the whole focus of the episode was on the swimming or even the actual beach part of the episode. It was mainly world building and also characters wondering about what kissing, love, and all of that means. So when you think about it, they just used the template. So it wasn't that big of a problem, in my personal opinion, and it was an episode I thoroughly enjoyed. Our characters are starting to wonder what it means to kiss someone, what it means to love someone. It is a question that is repeated many times throughout the newest episode of Darling in the Franxx. And this is a very interesting question that was asked from the characters, because us, as the audience of Darling in the Franxx, watching this and all that, we have seen many times throughout the journey, there's many innuendos, there's many phrasing segments, you're like, whoa, what? Like, phrasing? I mean, we see many things like this. It's become a very funny series to where you gotta look out for the innuendo, what, Studio Trigger is, putting into the episode. And when you see these characters not even knowing what love or kissing or even how to make babies or whatever, how that's done, and they're at this certain age, you're like, they're very sheltered. They're very sheltered individuals. And I feel like there is a theme going on here. And basically, what Trigger and A1 are trying to imply, everybody that's working on the series are trying to imply with this episode, is that our characters, they have no knowledge at all of what it actually means to create new human beings. But also, it also is a reference to them being partners. As we know, they're always someone of the opposite gender partnered together. You have a male and a female partnered, and then they get into the Frank. And we have seen that these many certain scenes are used as innuendos, and the way the positions are and all that, innuendo galore. And I wonder if for the reason why they don't know kissing or, love and all that, it's a reference to how today's society is. Now, I'm just speculating. I'm not saying that's what the writers are trying to say. I'm just speculating because it has had those themes. I wonder if they're trying to imply that people are willing to go out of their way, get into a relationship just for the pleasure aspect instead of the actual love and romance aspect. I feel like that was the message of this episode, and I could be wrong there, but I believe that's one of the themes that the episode was trying to imply, especially with the characters not really knowing what, the whole aspect of love is. Let's talk about one little quick thing that needs to be mentioned. We have more beehive symbolism. As you can see by this picture on the screen, you see the honeycomb type shape behind the characters right at the beginning of the episode, and I'm like, yo, it's been obvious since the very beginning that these plantations are like a beehive, but the more I see this, the more I realize that the Klaxosaurs are basically like a bear, and, 02, she's basically like a bear as well, always loving honey. It's a reference to that. Just seeing that at the beginning of the episode, I'm like, yeah, once again, they're really pushing that bee symbolism and all of that, and also showcasing that the only purpose of these characters as well is to safeguard Papa and all the old people up top, the adults. And that reminds me a lot of worker bees. Now, if you don't know much about, like, bees and stuff, or hives or whatever, you have a bunch of worker bees and all that, trying to maintain the entire hive, make sure everything is functioning and being fine, while you have the queen producing more offspring, and also continuously making sure that the hive is, constantly having more workers. And that's what I think is going on here. The relationship with the adults to the children, all that are piloting these FranXX. They're the worker bees. They go out, protect the hive and all that. They go out, sacrifice themselves to make sure everything is safe. They die and all that, but since there's so many bees, they can always be, put more can come and replace the ones that they lost. And I feel like that's also some symbolic meaning going on with this episode, because of how we had one of our characters, Zorname, how he was like, yeah, we are awesome. We're protecting these old men that used to live in these dumps, this world and all that, and now they're living in life in the plantations. I mean, we're doing some great work. We're awesome, and we get fed. And I'm thinking to myself, like, yeah, that is what you're doing, and in a way, it is honorable in terms of certain ways you view that, but at the same time, though, do the old people that are in these buildings, do they really deserve that praise? Did they not do anything crusty in the past? You don't really know, because from what we can see from our characters, they don't know much about history. They don't know how the world got into the state it was. All they know really about is the only things that they need to know. For instance, they need the magma, like humanity's been extracting this magma from underground and all that, and the Klaxosaurs come after it, and then they're tasked with, fighting back the Klaxosaurs. They don't really know much else. They have no need to know anything else if they're just worker bees just defending the hive. So you can see that these old people, or whoever raises them at the early age, they're not really teaching them much at all. They're just teaching them what they need to fight against invaders. Now, speaking of the world, okay, this is a very big part of the episode, and it's been slowly built up for many episodes now that something has been wrong with this world of Darling and the FranXX. The world, we didn't really know if it was set on another planet. We didn't know if it was a post-apocalyptic world. We had no idea. We had no idea where this series took place at. But we did know that there was something definitely different from the world. And besides the Klaxosaurs, obviously in mechs. I'm just saying, we knew that the location, there was something weird about it. And when we see in this episode, we see that a long time ago, humanity was what it is right now. Us, our society. They were flourishing on the surface of the planet. Now, we still don't know if it's Earth that they were on or not, but I want to assume it was, or is Earth. And eventually, one day, humanity just left the upper part of the world, and they retreated into these plantations. Now, there's not really any explanation given whatsoever. You pretty much have to go out of your way and kind of fill in the blanks. It's pretty obvious. If you've seen enough shows, it's most likely the reason for it. Humanity went out of their way. They started extracting the magma and stuff. They started getting these resources, and they probably caused some form of chain reaction or upset to the Klaxosaurs, unless the Klaxosaurs are humanity turned into what they are. For instance, as I was talking about, Hero in the last episode, Hero, he was having this, like, blue tumorish thing growing all over him, which made it look like he could potentially be turning into a Klaxosaur or some way, or a hybrid or whatever, which is what 02 is. And it made me wonder and speculate if the Klaxosaurs were humanity at one point, and maybe the geezers, like these old people, are all actually responsible for what happened to the world, besides just extracting magma cores. But whatever the case may be, though, it does seem that the world is set in a post-apocalyptic era, and there doesn't seem to be a lot of oceans left. There is places around the world like the, abandoned town we saw in this episode, but there apparently doesn't seem to be a lot from what the characters know of. They even mention it at the beginning of the episode, so beaches, oceans, and all that are very rare, and you don't really get to see them often. So it makes me assume that either the water sources are dangerous because Klaxosaurs are nearby, or maybe certain parts of of the world are so toxic that you can't even go near them, or pollution. We really don't know. Just, it's left blank, but even then, though, it's enough details to let us know that there is definitely something off with this world, and definitely humanity did something to this world to probably cause the situation that it's currently at. So I'm a big fan of this episode for finally having Hiro and 02 finally being incorporated into their squad, Squad 13. They finally got accepted. I mean, we already knew they were part of the group and all that, but there was a scene in this episode towards the end when night fell and they were all eating and all that, and 02 was out swimming. You have it to where they're like, welcome to Squad 13. We officially welcome you, welcome to the group, Hiro 02, we're proud to have you. It's a really cute and sweet moment because it lets you know that he finally has a place that he belongs to. Instead of being someone that was an outcast, someone that couldn't do anything, someone that was useless and couldn't fly, he finally has a place in the group, and it just put a smile on my face. I do like the little interaction that we had with Ichigo and Hiro at the end. Besides the gloomy stuff and death flags, there was a little scene to when Hiro started walking alongside the water, and you saw his footprints in the sand, and you see Ichigo right behind him, and she actually starts walking on his footprints, and it basically shows that she wants to be connected to Hiro. She wants to be his partner, basically. She loves him a lot. Now, we all know Ichigo loves him, and I've already discussed that Ichigo is kind of not trying to force her feelings too much. She cares more about Hiro's well-being and his happiness than her own happiness. That's what I've already talked about, and so I'm not going to rehash what I already said. But when she starts walking on his footprints right behind him, it's like she wants to walk the same path as him. She wants to be like him. She wants to, be closer to him. And then once the conversation gets a little bit deeper into it, she actually walks in front of him and starts making her own footsteps, which means that Ichigo is making her own path. She is going down her own path. Instead of blindly following behind Hiro, she creates her own path, and she wants Hiro to look at her, look at what she has done, and realize who she really is as a leader and as someone that, he could possibly even fall in love with. So I like that scene. It was a very nice and sweet little atmosphere and message there for Ichigo and Hiro's character. And I do have a very bad feeling that Ichigo is probably not going to make it to the end of the series, especially with all these little setups we've had in recent episodes. I just feel like she's going to die because this episode kind of spelt that out with the, gloom and doom with the shooting stars and stuff. We saw a mark or a scar on Hiro's chest in this episode, and it was noticeable, but at the same time it shows that the blue tumor that was there is gone. It has retreated back into his body, and it's no longer there. Either this means that his body is finally stabilized, or for right now, whatever that was is just dormant, and then it will reactivate again, probably once he gets back into the FranXX with 02. But there was a little mark on his chest, and it does show that for right now, he's not in the position to die any minute now. So that is some good clarification with that. I mean, overall, I think this episode of Darling in the FranXX was an enjoyable episode. It has great moments, and it's okay moments. I mean, I do say in terms of world building, this was probably the best episode yet, and I just do like the little themes here and there throughout the episode for the innuendo side, but also the message of what the series is trying to, get across. So let me know your thoughts in the comments below. If you enjoy my content, please subscribe. If you like this video, please leave a like, and if you want to get notified for whenever I upload a video, please click the bell icon down below, and with that, be safe, stay healthy, Chibi out.